Okay, let's start off by saying that getting this game to work on my Game Capture HD was a pain in the ass. I bought a composite to component converter only for it to work half the time. It works great on my Genesis, but for some reason it totally dies on me whenever I connect my Sega 32X. It took me 3 days to get this thing working. Eventually I got another set of video cables and that seemed to do the trick. And that's why this video took so long. Anyway, on to the review. Now, from my understanding, the 32X was the first console ever to receive a port of Doom. With that said, at the time when this version was released, I thought I was getting the full Doom game. Unfortunately for me and many others, this was not the case. In order to make it in time for the '94 holiday season, Sega rushed this port, excluding the final chapter in the process. Us Sega enthusiasts ended up missing out on 1/3 of the game, along with the only 2 bosses in Doom. Several other cuts had to be made, such as textures, music, and animation. None of the enemies are able to turn around, and they're facing the player at all times, which totally sucks, since starting fights between monsters is always fun. This makes it somewhat more difficult to dodge their projectiles and increases the difficulty. Another issue is the lack of saving. This could be a very long game at times, and granted it's close to 2 hours to complete, but something that could have saved my progress, like a password feature, would have been greatly appreciated. There were times where I wanted to shut the game off due to boredom, only to realize that I was recording and doing so would mess up my file, and I cannot have that on my Game Capture HD. Now, with all the negative out of the way, let's get on to the good stuff. Gameplay is pretty much what you expect. Fast-paced action with a whole slew of enemies to slay. The controls are responsive and work really well, although I do recommend using the 6-button control pad. Having to press a combination of buttons just to switch weapons is distracting somewhat on a 3-button pad. Now, I have to mention that it took a while to get used to this, seeing that I have been playing FPSs on dual analog for a while. Some of the levels have changed a bit from the PC original. In fact, all the levels come from the Jaguar version of the game. But there was never a time that I felt lost or didn't have a clue where to go. The layout kept the game interesting, and all the hidden areas made things much more exciting. The game could be challenging at points, especially in later levels when enemies would appear right out of the walls, or near valuable items. But it's not too hard to the point where you feel you can't beat it. Hell, I beat this game when I was only 12. It's not all that difficult. Just play around with it and you'll get an idea where things are, see a pattern, and that's pretty much how you beat the game. Graphically, it's pretty close to the PC. However, it does have a border around the screen, which does get annoying at first, but after the first few levels, you won't even notice it's there. Because it's missing several textures, I must say that the atmosphere of the game has changed somewhat, especially in the level spawning bats, where it has a more of a medieval theme rather than a sci-fi. The music, it's pretty awful. Sega could have done a better job in this department, but instead they opted to rush the music as well. The sound effects, however, are spot on with the PC version. Overall, sadly I must say that this is one version of Doom you should avoid. Granted, it is a first console port, but that's hardly an excuse to be missing out on 1/3 of the game. There are better versions out there, so I say skip this one, unless you're looking to flesh out your 32X collection. This has been David from Calling All Gamers, here to tell you that my next video is going to be taking a little while longer due to the fact that my SNES does not want to work well with my Game Capture HD. I'm gonna see if I can find a workaround or something. Anyway, catch y'all later. Have a good one.